Hey class, Mrs. Jones here. Today we're going to be talking about subtracting positives and negatives. Before we get into subtraction though, I want to real quick review the addition rules that we've been covering. Okay, those rules are same signs add and different sign subtract. Okay, so let's take a look at these really quick. As you can tell in my example problem, both of these are negative. They have the same sign. So I'm going to do what it says, and I'm going to add them together. 5 plus 2 is 7. Now, because they're the same sign, I keep the sign exactly the same. It's still negative. That's the same as if I were to take two positive numbers and add them together, right? They're the same signs. They're both positive. So I would add them, and I would keep the sign. This is still positive. Now, if they have different signs, either a negative and a positive, or a positive and a negative, instead of taking 5 plus 4, because they're different signs, I need to subtract. So 5 minus 4 is 1. Now I have to decide which sign I'm going to keep, because there's one of each. So I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger absolute value. Well, 5 has more absolute value than 4, so I'm going to keep the negative, just like the 5. Ta-da! Now this next one, I have 8 plus a negative 2. Again, they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 2 is 6. And then I'm going to look at which of these numbers has the greatest absolute value. Well, 8 is definitely more than 2. So I'm going to keep positive just like the 8. Now what I want you to notice is that these are all simple because we have this addition sign inside, and the negative is attached, okay? Sometimes you'll even see people go through and put parentheses around these numbers, okay, like this. And that's okay. That's just trying to show us that that negative is attached to the 2. That's a negative 5. That's a negative 2. What some people get confused with is when they see a problem and it's a subtraction problem. There's not an addition in the middle. Let's look at what I'm talking about. What if I had 2 minus 7? Now, as we look at this, we're like, wait, there's a negative sign in there. So is this different signs? Wait, but they're both positive. Are they same signs? What do I do with that negative sign? Okay, so what I'm going to teach you is some basic steps so that we can rewrite this problem as addition. Ta-da! Now, the reason we want to do this is because we already know what to do when it's an addition problem. So it's really easy. We know the rules. And rewriting is pretty simple. Okay? Step number 1, you're going to take any subtraction or negative signs and you're going to stick them to the number on the right. Voila. Now what happens is the negative sign, we also talked about how this sign right here, this negative sign, it also looks like a subtraction sign. They're the same thing. So what this step means is that I'm going to take this number right here and I'm going to stick it to the number on the right. So that it's no longer a subtract 7, but it is a negative 7. Okay? Now we want to remember that negatives come before the number like that. You would never write a number that was too negative. You would always put the negative in front of the number. That's why it sticks to this one. Okay? So if I stick the negative to the 7, I can bring down the 2, and put a plus sign between them. So what we're saying is 2 minus 7 is the same thing as 2 plus a negative 7. Let's write those words down. Okay, so here it is written down in words. We already stuck the negative sign to the number on the right and made it negative 7. Then we had to bring down all the other numbers, okay, bring the 2 down. And then we are going to put a plus sign between them. And you have successfully rewritten 2 minus 7 as an addition problem. And these will mean the exact same thing. Okay, now let's practice that just a few times so we can get the hang of it. Okay, so I have these 3 problems here. Go ahead and write them down. I have negative 3 minus 4, 5 minus 3, and 4 minus 5. So we're going to take each of these one at a time, and we're going to rewrite them as addition problems so that we can use our rules before. Okay, our first one, we need to stick the negative sign to the number on the right. Well, look, I have 2 negative signs. So what they're trying to say is this is a negative 3 and this is a negative 4. So I'm going to bring down the numbers. I'm going to write down negative 3 and negative 4. Okay, now my negatives are sticking to the numbers. And I'm going to put a plus sign in between them. There. Now we have rewritten as an addition problem. The next one says 5 minus 3. Let's try it again. Stick the negative sign to the number on the right. So this is negative 3. Remember, not 5 negative, negative 3. Bring down my numbers. I've got a 5 and a negative 3. And I'm going to put a plus sign in between them. Last one, 4 minus 5. I would stick the negative to the 5. Bring down my numbers. I've got a 4 and a negative 5. And I add them together. Ta-da! I have rewritten them as addition. Real quick, why don't you go ahead and solve these, pause the video, and come back. We're back. You should have gotten negative 7, 2, and negative 1. Did you do it right? Of course you did. Now, let's try 3 more to make sure you've really got it. Okay, here's your 3 problems. 6 minus 10, negative 2 minus 3, and 8 minus 4. Write these on your paper, rewrite them to addition problems, and solve. On your mark, get set, go! Okay, for the first one, you should have rewritten it as 6 plus negative 10. Those are different signs, so you got negative 4. The second question should be rewritten as negative 2 plus negative 3. They're the same signs, so you should have gotten negative 5. And the last one, you can rewrite it as 8 plus a negative 4 and get 4. Ta-da! You're doing it. Now it's time to practice.